How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the cast right here at Celestia Radio. It's your host, Matthias, as is usual, with Dalit and Nat.
G'day, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good on this end.
Love to hear it.
But, it's finally doing good. I've been bedridden sick again for like 2 weeks.
Hey, we take what wins we can
fun.
get. Even if it's only good right now, at least it's good right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. You doing good, Nat?
Yeah, I'm going alright. I've been very giddy ever since Kingdom Hearts dropped on Steam, so, I'm in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we love to hear it. We love to hear it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've been bedridden sick for a couple weeks. It sucks, but as often as it happens to me, I'm super used to it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Netflix decided to dump a lot of stuff onto their catalog, and one of the things they happened to dump onto their catalog, I was just like, oh crap, I want to watch this, and it was Godzilla -1.
Genuinely can't believe they did it. That is not where I expected that to end up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised every time I see a movie show up, like a bigger movie show up on Netflix nowadays, because you got Disney Plus where all of the Disney titles go. So anytime anything like superhero comes out, I'm kind of expecting it over there.
Yeah.
And then you have Max
is the other one.
Where most big movies end up being. So I was just like, I expected that things to end up there, but for some reason it ended up here. And I have a feeling I can understand why after actually watching it. But yeah, so it showed up on there, and I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. I'm stuck in bed. I can't really do anything. I can't play games. My computer is over there, and sitting up feels awful. So let me watch some movies here on Netflix, starting with Godzilla -1. And holy crap.
Really good movie.
That movie was amazing.
Yeah.
You had told me it was a good movie, right, Dalit?
Yeah. I had gotten, let's not call it inside information, but I work on and off again with a branch of the industry that lets me do early access to movies, right? Like, we'll do early screenings. So
Okay.
I had the in that way and knew ahead of time that this was going to be a contender.
So did you actually got to see this at one of those early screenings?
No, because this was during a point in time when there were issues that wouldn't allow for that. But I was told by all of the panelists that they were over the moon about it.
Okay. But you have watched it.
I have watched it. I took some time on my own to go out and see it. It's a Godzilla movie. Even if they're bad, I tend to watch them anyway.
So yeah, funny you mentioned that, because you told me it was a good movie. And you told both of us it was a good movie, I believe. And I heard that, and I'm like, all right, so it's a good Godzilla movie. Thinking it's a good Godzilla movie,
which is a big difference. Like, okay, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, I like kaiju movies. I like Godzilla. I'm just like, all right, I'll watch it when I get a chance. I'm here for it. I also want to say that I had a misconception about it. I thought, not having watched any of the previews for it, or all I had heard was the name, people say it was good, and seen a poster for it or something, and it was one of those stylized posters.
Yeah,
so you can't really
right.
Make much from that, right? So I was under this misinterpretation, or I had talked myself into believing or something, that this was just another Godzilla movie in the current Godzilla MonsterVerse thing.
That was also my problem with the movie as well. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It was a good movie, but I was also under what the fuck is going on with Godzilla? I thought why is he doing this? But yeah, it's literally three
I
different
very quickly
Godzilla franchise directions.
I very quickly realized it wasn't that.
Right.
Because it comes in, movie starts. Also, I want to preface that I'm a sap when it comes to watching movies, and actually not just movies, reading, anime, everything. I get really emotionally invested and emotional really easy. I cried so many times during this movie.
Dude,
Oh.
no, absolutely. This was another thing that people were saying coming out of this. Like I went into this movie not expecting to be emotional about a Godzilla movie, and I think the important thing to take away from this is you're right. This you can't think of this as you think of other Godzilla movies. This is a World War II period piece that just also happens to have Godzilla in
Of
it.
course.
It
Yeah.
also happens to have Godzilla. Yeah, but I just like I went into this like thinking it was something else, and it was like evening. Like it was like I was laying down. It was late that night, kind of thing. I was watching some movies before I went to bed, just letting my medicine get in my system and stuff. And I was just like right off the bat, I'm like, hold up, because it starts off with the guy flying his plane into the island,
Right.
and I'm like, whoa, this isn't the right time period. But like I can tell right away based off the plane and everything and the uniforms and stuff. I'm like, what? Or I'm like, okay, so maybe we're getting some backstory on the characters that are gonna play a part in like further into the movie or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, like I went into that with all these expectations, wrong expectations, and then was just bawling my eyes out through. I want to say maybe a third, 2/3 of this movie.
Honestly,
Like,
yeah.
it was, wow. But yeah, so it ended up, like you said, being a World War II piece,
Mhm.
like set in like Japan from the Japanese side of things, Japanese perspective things, which you know, growing up in America, um, there's plenty of World War II pieces out there, right? So many World War II pieces out there. I mean, it was a very common time period for video games at one
Very
point in time
true.
in the first person shooter genre.
Yep.
So it's like World War II is an overbloated thing here in a lot of ways. But it's always from the American or European side of things. You never really get a Japanese side of things to these.
Well, also because there's a lot of reasons why Japan specifically wouldn't want to cover World War II.
Well,
So,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot of
a
reasons.
lot
Exactly.
of reasons.
And like it starts off with a very, very heavy point even before you get to Godzilla, and that's that your main character was a kamikaze pilot
mhm.
who ran away. Like
Yep.
he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to kill himself. He didn't want to do
He
it.
disgraced his honor and his family's name,
And they let him
ran
fucking
away.
go.
Oh yeah, they did. Oh yeah, they did.
It's oh, it's wow. It was just like, oh, whew, okay. Yeah, I like I mean like I get where he's coming from. Like that's
Mhm.
like yeah, you're throwing your life away. And then on top of that, you find out I want to say it's just like a little bit into it. You find out like his because his parents, his mom or somebody, was just like, make sure they were telling him, make sure you come home safe. Make sure you come home safe. So apparently when he went and signed like was I don't know if you signed up for the military back then or you were drafted. I don't know how it worked.
Most likely drafted.
But yeah, but when he was put into the military, joined the military, whatever, to be a pilot, he didn't know that's what he was signing on for, I guess, or if he did, he never mentioned it to his family. And yeah, he didn't want to do it. He peaced out.
Yep.
And
it's really funny because again, spoilers, people. I think it was the chick that lives next door to him.
The neighbor.
She like, yeah, she fucking like, I was gonna say gave it to him, but no. But like, she went off on him, like saying like, if you did your job, we would have won the war and all that shit. Of like, this wouldn't have happened and all that. I'm just like, damn.
I'm not even sure that's what it was. This
That's what she said. She said like,
okay.
That's what she said. But
Alright,
like,
yeah,
like
watched-
the implication that if he did his job would have prevented the things that happened in Japan was kind of funny to me because I'm just like,
yeah. So I watched this undubbed, believe it or not, given who I am, because I watched this on its initial run. I didn't even
Right.
find out it was dubbed until Matthew came through and mentioned that it was on Netflix, so I had a cheeky look at it. I remember. I don't remember the subs mentioning those words in particular, and the big takeaway to that was just uh, directionless anger, and obviously defaulting back to the very popular sentiment of you had a job, this job
Yeah.
required you to do it. You literally. It sounds super racist to say, but like you lack honor for not
Yeah.
seeing it through. It was a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
typical talking
Yeah.
points you see from a situation like this from anyone who's disgraced in the line of duty.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. Like when you get to that point, it is she was lashing out at him in anger because she had just lost her children. She had just lost her family.
Yes, I
And
think it's very important. I'd like to point out, um, because we skipped ahead. What's super important about this is he is coming back to a post firebombed Japan.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
coming back
Yeah.
to no one.
Yeah, so I was gonna get there. But for her specifically, yeah, she was lashing out in anger and grief at him, saying, like Nat said, if you had done this, we would have won or whatever.
Yeah.
From a historical standpoint, like you realize one person wouldn't have made a difference.
Exactly.
Not in that instance, anyways. But going back like towards the beginning of the movie, so he fakes problems with his plane, flies to a like a repair base on a little island.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him just like he's really struggling because he realizes he's run away from what he's supposed to do, but he's like he promised his parents he'd come back alive. He's afraid to die. He's having this real struggle with honor and like like life. Like he doesn't want to die. He fears death, which is a super understandable thing. Being afraid to die is super common. But then and then you see like the mechanics that like look at his plane, check it out, see that there's nothing wrong. There's even a split among them. Some of them are kind of like, this guy's run away. What the heck? And then a couple of them, even one of them even says something to him. He's like, no, I get it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it's dumb or whatever.
Oh, maybe I misread
Um,
into that line. I remember him only having one sympathizer on that island, and it was the guy who came up and said, "Look, I'd have done the same thing." I remember everyone else
The
being
main
pretty
Mekanik guy.
firmly against him.
one person came up and said everything, and then you had a couple guys that were talking about they that were against him. You had the one guy that said something that he was for him. You don't see what everybody's like, but I mean, at the very least, there was one person who was for him, and I think it shows 3 different guys talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's only 4 of like I think there were like 12 people there or something. So, no, you're right. There was only the one guy that came up and said something.
The main Mekanik
But there
guy.
was, yeah, but there was, everybody wasn't against him in this. There was at least one person, maybe more that were sympathetic towards him.
Right.
And then enters Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to comment that I think Godzilla in this scene looked better than he did in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that was
Because it's at
some
night.
really, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all
there
it
was
is.
some
It's-
really
yeah.
funky things about Godzilla and later in the fucking movie.
Yeah, you notice
movie.
everything when it has to be like even lighting across it. A lot. That's why all
Yeah.
VFX just looks better in the dark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It's like, all right, they did not put a lot of budget into Godzilla himself. Like you can tell very quickly later on. But in this moment, in this scene at the beginning, he looked really good.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know about that thought though. I think they put a lot of money into him. I just think it's hard, to be honest.
well, I mean, it's when you have all these recent movies from the MonsterVerse where Godzilla looks really, really good. It's hard to compare to that, I suppose.
Yeah, but that's all like fucking visual effects bullshit. Like if the entire set piece is visual effects, it should be easier question mark to even out the
I think it's
lighting.
just a matter of model. This model does harken back to some of the older suit models, which look distinctly,
I
uncanny valley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought so because he
yeah,
seemed really fucking tiny in this
Well, he is.
movie.
Like that's a big part of like I think every Godzilla movie over the last so many years, is that yeah, this is harkening back to the original Godzilla movie when you first meet him,
Right.
and the first
Okay.
Godzilla is
yeah.
tiny. He
Yeah,
just gets bigger and
yeah,
bigger after
he's a
that.
yeah, the baby. Well, not baby, but yeah.
Um, and then you have this whole Godzilla attacks the people thing. Also, side note: if the one guy hadn't shot Godzilla without the orders, none of the like a big chunk of the negative things in this movie may not have happened. Like he like all the pilots and stuff wouldn't have died, or mechanics wouldn't have died and everything,
True.
and
Likely
character wouldn't
anyway.
be
I mean,
as
but true.
traumatized. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, um, it was just funny. He shot him, and then Godzilla just started killing them all and everything. And you see the main character whose name escapes me at this point. Um, you see him struggling to because they tell him to go shoot him with with the guns on his plane, and he freezes and doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's because it's that he's like, if this doesn't work, I'm dead, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah. It was a stupid thing to say that was said. That was a lie, and even he knew it was a lie. So
Hmm.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I forget what caliber the gun was. Like, yeah, this caliber gun will blast through anything. He's like,
yeah, and then everybody but him and one of the mechanic dies. So, and that one mechanic then
Chewed him out for it.
shoot him out. Says it's his fault that all of his friends died.
If he just fired, you would have saved lives.
You just fired would have saved lives. And then we get to he's home post firebomb Tokyo. His neighbor, chews him out again. Like, if you just done your job, this what happens. And then he goes to the point he abandons his duty and so that he survives to return home to his parents, his family, just to find that he doesn't have anyone at home waiting for him. His family died in the firebombing and everything. So it's like that's like the first like real heart wrenching moment for me, at least, was just like, oh, you just threw away your honor. You just like did all of this to survive, and in your own head at least cost people their lives so you could survive to return home to your parents,
I know you don't have a
just for
family
them.
no more.
Yeah, just to not have a family, just not have anyone waiting for you, and it's just all destroyed.
and it was in this scene that I think it really hammers home the first major theme of this Godzilla movie, which is dealing with loss. Right? Japan,
Right.
and
Yeah.
as a nation, has to deal with multiple cases of loss. First, they've lost the war, which is
Yep.
an immediate hit to their overall sense of pride and sense of being a nation. And
Yep.
then there's
Mm-hmm.
the loss of life on the island. Like, forget all of the soldiers that once a soldier leaves, there's an expectation that they might not come back. That's
Right.
never true of civilians. And Japan got firebombed into the ground. I'm not even sure in this version of the war that the nuclear bombs were ever dropped, because I believe that that's probably what Godzilla's for. He's there to be the allegory for the bomb, like he was
Right.
in the first movie. Now, whether or not they were dropped or not, if they're say even if they were dropped, like that again, it's this incredible loss of life.
Well, there was at least this scene of them testing it, of us, sorry, of us testing them in the ocean, because that's when he gets really big. Is when it has the scene of like an explosion going off,
Hmm.
and then it shows like Godzilla getting bigger or whatever.
Okay. But yeah, there's other aspects of loss. Like then there's the smaller ones, right? there's the mechanics on the island that leads to the one survivor having to deal with that and taking it out on Koichi for the entirety of the movie, which isn't strictly speaking true because we don't see him for a long time, but we do realize that at no point has he ever forgiven him for it.
Yeah.
And in a way, he is taking out on him throughout the entirety of the movie because he gave him the photos of all of the other mechanics and their families and stuff.
So he lives
The
with that.
constant
That haunts him and
reminder.
he holds on to it.
The neighbor's first reaction is to demean him because she lost her children. She could have died, and she blames him for that, despite having to know deep down there's nothing one plane could do.
Which, I mean, you see, again, jumping ahead, you see as the movie progresses, as time progresses, that she makes
that goes away. And then, of course, there's his loss, right? His loss of his family, and this will not be the only loss that he has to deal with throughout the movie. So it's a major theme, and I think that within the first 15, 30 minutes, they've absolutely killed it on hammering it home so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it like literally rips heart out of chest just right early into this. And then you get the other half of these leading characters.
Noriko
With
at least I think it was Noriko.
Yeah, Noriko. I think Noriko and Akiko.
Yes.
Akiko.
Yeah, like you get to see her, and then again that builds on the loss because Noriko lost her parents in all of this, and then Akiko was Noriko rescued her from at the request of her mother because she was buried under rubble or whatever.
Yep.
So I mean these are three. These three end up sticking together, having lost everything.
Literally everything.
And like the nation, they end up having to rebuild their entire lives from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And watching this, like watching this section here, watching this, them building the little hut and then going, day to day, watching like all of this city and all the people having to rebuild and do this all themselves and everything. It's one, it shows like the travesties of war.
Correct.
Like really well. And it's really hard to watch in this instance, and in most, like any instance, it should be hard to watch. And this was hard to watch. And as someone who's always kind of thought, man, nuclear weapons were a bad idea, this just is another one of those moments where it kind of drives that home.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just because it gives that same like feeling, right? And I think that's what they were going for,
right?
And I'm just like, man, this is so bad. This is so rough. Like you definitely, they do a great job of making you sympathize for these characters. Get invested in these characters really early on. And then, like not long after this, after they're kind of going about things, you get is there a time skip before the 2-year time skip? I can't remember where they jump ahead.
Yeah, the pacing picks up for a very brief amount of time as we show them coming to terms with what they're going to have to do going forward. They now live together, which he did not plan for.
They somewhat have a door for the house, even though it's literally just nothing.
Yeah,
they didn't have a door. Now they have a door.
They rebuild little aspects of their lives before the bigger shift to building the bigger aspect, which would be getting work and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and then you have this like pacing pickup where it shows them building these little bits, and then it shows like the bond that is forming between the three of them as like a family.
Yeah,
like definitely more from what was her name? Noriko. From Noriko towards him at first, because then you get
the majority
when he gets his majority really, But when he goes to get a job to be able to,
Feed the kid.
help pay for everything
Yeah.
and feed, Akiko and, meet like all of their daily needs or
Yeah.
whatever. You see her get really, really upset because of how dangerous this could be because of what it entails.
Yeah. He's definitely playing the
disposing
role of the husband, despite coming out and literally saying it, that he is not Akiko's father and they are not married.
Okay, so
subconsciously he definitely understands what's going on and he does clearly care for them. But
Right.
The second theme was he is still fighting his war, which makes sense. His war never ended, and he's going to be dealing with that for the rest of his life, and that's what this aspect was.
I think to him, this is, instead of a familiar bond, familiar bond. It's more of a still like a survival bond to him between getting these three together and surviving all that while Noriko, yeah, the female, she slowly is like understanding, like I think she's slowly getting out of that survival, like bond of survival, and more into the more traditional stuff of like family, like the female's gotta take care of the house while the husband goes out or the man goes out and gets.
Well, there is also like there is a romance that's blooming between the two of them. It's just very subdued.
Absolutely.
Everything
At this
Absolutely.
point of time, I don't
even
think
then.
So.
Even then, absolutely.
Even then, like
I guess so.
Like you can like for her, like really early on, like you can tell for her it's starting because
yeah, I guess
she is opening up and trusting him very early
and
on.
there's no reason for her not to. They are sharing a trauma. They are working through it together. Whether or not he wanted to, he opened up his house for them and immediately started taking up a role to take care of them. Moreover, he asked her not to work because he thought his job was enough. That is a husband,
right?
Like, and there's no reason for her to think otherwise. Like, he didn't realize what he said, but she did.
Yeah, he's a bit dense.
Even though he's still fighting his war and he's still battling grief,
yes,
and all of these things, and that's blocking him from really accepting how he feels about things and accepting her feelings, and even when you get to the time skip and everything, even little Akiko's feelings, like even though it's stopping him from accepting it, like you can tell that he is feeling it. It is there. He's just not letting himself because he is battling this war. He is battling this grief. He is battling this regret and all of these things.
Right.
And then like I was saying, you do get the time skip. He does get the job. And then through the job he makes friends that also help with things. Ultimately ends up being a really good group of friends and a really, really colorful group of characters to bring into this cast. This cast of characters, like they were all notably unique.
It's I don't know why I compare it to it. It seems very familiar, but it was kind of like a little hint of like the Jaws crew. Jaws, and then they went on the boat.
I haven't seen that in so long. I don't.
I see why you would say that. I don't know that I would make that comparison though.
It's there. It's a little bit there. I'm just like, oh, okay.
I just know when they were introduced, and the boat captain guy comes out, and he was just like, "Yep, I'm the captain. You can call him kid. You can call him or Doc, whatever."
Doc.
I was just like, "Oh man, this is like a stereotype thing." Yep. I'm like, "This is like not stereotype. It's a stereotype, archetype,
like
a character archetype." Yeah. That I was just like, "Oh man, they're making a joke. Like he's not gonna actually stick with this the entire time, right?" And he kind of does, but he makes it very believable. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Bravo for taking this like archetype that's usually very joking and pulling it off in a like this feels like a real person way. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like somebody like parodying something.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then we get onto the boat.
Yeah, then they get in the boat. He starts his job.
Which we should mention is minesweeping.
Yep.
Yeah, is sweeping up old mines that were put out during the war.
And they have to use a wooden boat because if they had fucking just any other material, those fucking
Mines are magnetized.
Yep.
Yep.
And kaboom.
I was like when he told Noriko what the job was, I was just like, oh, he's trying to die. Oh no. I was like, this isn't good. And then you see the boat and it's wooden, and I'm like, okay, now he's just gonna die because this boat is just old.
Yep. Old,
and then
rickety,
you're like, oh, okay, it's not actually old. It's just wooden, like made specifically because like they end up explaining it and everything.
Yeah.
Like, so you don't set off with the magnetized bombs, and it ends up being, safer than first impressions. Like I realized this was a thing that actually had to happen after World War II.
Right.
And I'm almost certain there were actual accidents in the process of people doing this job. It just seems impossible for there not to be because of the nature of it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they definitely made it seem like it was not as dangerous as it could be.
No, it's just a suicide mission. Just, just not that bad.
To be fair, when you see them in action, you realize how realistic this job is, but not safe. Just realistic. And it especially worked towards his benefit because he was a capable fighter pilot and his job was to shoot the mines at several hundred yards away.
By the way, the 2-year time skip hasn't happened yet, so this is only like a couple weeks, if that, after everything that's happened.
Oh, it's a few months.
Right.
It's been a few months since he's been back.
Okay, yeah.
He's been back for a couple months at this point when he gets the job.
Yeah.
Like, because it's only been a few weeks when Noriko and Akiko show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've been together, living together for a few weeks longer than that. So you've got a couple months now.
Yeah.
When he gets back into this. So, but it's because of the job, because of the pay that you do end up getting the time skip, and they end up having a nice little house, see things healing and whatnot. And then this is a decent chunk of the movie at this point, right? Like you have like 5-10-ish minutes at the beginning of the movie, then you have the like 10-minute Godzilla scene, and then you have this section which is like 30-ish minutes of a lot of stuff happening and going on. No Godzilla. Nothing's like happening.
Again, this is a post-war Japan movie that just happens to feature
Godzilla,
a giant radioactive lizard occasionally.
Yeah, because it you get a like just as I was sitting as I was laying here watching this, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm just watching this, post World War II movie. And I'm just like, okay, I'm for it. I'm interested. I want to know what happens. I'm invested in these characters now. Like I want to see what happens. I had like started to forget about the Godzilla side of things for a minute.
Yeah.
Then you get the like 2-year forward, and then after the 2-year forward, it becomes very apparent where Noriko stands on how she feels and everything, but you can tell he's still very caught up in his own war and his own battle. But then Godzilla makes his reappearance, about 2 years later. But on a much larger scale and a much more known scale, as he's like attacking ships out at sea, like battleships out at sea.
The big motherfuckers that they used in the World War II and all that shit. Big.
And then somehow or another, he gets sent on what is literally a suicide mission to distract Godzilla long enough for this super warship essentially
from fucking Taiwan, Thailand to come into Japan waters to help and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, wow, you didn't. How did you get this short end of this stick? Like, jeez.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, right? This mission, this job was actually like government mandated instead of just, the usual, paying job and all that shit.
Well, his entire job was actually a government.
Well, okay, yeah, okay, you're true because they did mention that the government was doing that, but like,
That's why it was one of the only jobs paying out that well at the time.
Yes, exactly right. Like, yeah, it was like government mandated, like it was a government job, but like there's a difference between, oh yeah, just clean up the mines from our oceans and all that, and then there's go fucking distract Godzilla for a couple hours.
To be fair, they did not need to follow that bit of instruction. They only did for the 2 minutes they were doing because the captain got too big for his britches and thought he knew that. Like, what's the worst that could happen? And then, they saw him and it was immediately a case of, oh no, fuck that, we're leaving.
Yep, we're out. Bye-bye.
Yep, peace. Let's get out of here. Yeah. My memory gets a little hazy after at this like in between point here, but they make it out of there. They survive. The battleship ends up not doing anything to Godzilla.
Nope. Godzilla fucking destroyed that shit.
Yeah, but then Godzilla like goes off the radar for a bit,
mm-hmm.
and then
not
it's
that
quiet.
long, to be honest.
Like there's enough time because you get this point where what's his name?
Koichi,
where he wakes up and he starts to finally starts to think maybe it's time to make peace with everything, and he starts to think, let's do this like whole family thing for real and everything. And Godzilla attacks Tokyo. Right as he's having these thoughts,
hold on, you're missing one thing. Noriko got a job in. It's not.
Yeah, Noriko
is not.
She's got a job in.
It's not Tokyo.
Somewhere in Ginza, I think.
Yeah, Ginza.
In Ginza, teaching, I believe she said.
To be fair, what the job is doesn't actually matter.
No.
Yeah, what the job is.
It's just that she's got a job.
She's in Ginza working.
Yep.
And then you have him. He's at home, like kind of recovering, kind of thing after the whole chase with Godzilla thing, and he's playing with Akiko, and he's deciding he's gonna, actually live now, try and have a happy life or whatever. And then there's the like alert that Godzilla has come ashore near Ginza. And then you get this whole section of Noriko struggling to survive as this Godzilla attack is happening.
The fact that she even survived was, I don't want to say a miracle or just like not believable, because fucking hell, everyone just immediately died except for her, and I'm just like, I understand why, but realistically,
the Godzilla steps on the train she's in.
Yep. Fucking bit
but
it.
It's like a car. Yeah, it's like two cars ahead. Bites it, but it's like the car on the other side, and then lifts it up and is holding it, and she's hanging on to one of those like poles for you to hold on to if you're standing.
Yep.
As people are like falling out and stuff, and she's just like barely surviving and trying to figure out what to do before he throws this thing, or
she dropped
into it again,
she dropped
or whatever.
Into the water, and then that's when he fully destroyed the card. And that's when I'm just like, again, I know what you're doing, movie, but realistically, yeah, whatever. It's a movie. What are you
thinking realistically about a Godzilla movie?
Yeah,
stop.
Yeah,
but it's one of those moments where you're sitting on the edge of your seat, like, oh, is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? No, don't die.
This is the theme of the movie. Is he gonna lose someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, don't die. Like, he's finally decided to live. He's finally decided to live. He's gonna be happy. Like, don't die. This is terrible. And then, she survives the whole train incident, falls into the water, gets out of the water, she's running away with everybody else.
Is she
you
running
see
or
a
is she
moment where
walking? I just
She's staggering.
she's
okay,
staggering.
yeah.
She is not in a great way.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not. She did just fall a decent distance into water. Like that hurts.
Yeah.
She's not in a great way, and then somebody like falls and gets hurt, and then she stops to help them, like which she obviously would, because you get that very quickly based off of her story of saving Akiko, and that's who she is. And then you're just like, and then she just freezes because Godzilla gets so close, and you're like, oh no, and then
Koichi's there.
and then yeah, then he shows up, and he's just like, what are you doing? Let's go. And they're both running, and you're like, oh, okay. I didn't see him coming up. Like, what's happening? Like, that caught me off guard. I was like, I didn't actually expect him to show up. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
no, I absolutely didn't. No.
I was just like, okay. So they're running, they're getting away. And then there's the moment where Godzilla uses his like nuclear breath.
The atomic breath.
The atomic breath.
Yeah. And just makes this massive explosion. And it like it has the effects of like what a nuclear bomb, a nuclear explosion
Of what the bomb
does.
would be. Yeah.
Yeah, where it like the air blast out and then like in or whatever. And then you see Noriko push him like into an alley at the last second so he doesn't get caught up in the like blast of wind, and she's just flung. Like she's just
and she's gone.
And she's
Bye-bye.
gone. She's
so
dead.
the theme continues.
So the theme continues. It's just like
that part
like,
annoyed the
holy
shit out
crap.
of me because they were both so fucking close to be so close to that alleyway that both of them had enough time to get behind fucking cover. But I know what they're trying to do, but it just annoyed the shit out of me. Like they were literally like 2 steps away from being behind a building, and it was just, oh my god.
it was one of those moments. It was a believable action. To me, it was a believable action because for her, like if you hadn't picked up on it already, she had already fallen in love with Koichi at this point.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
fully, entirely. And the only
I genuinely don't know how you miss it at this point, especially after the group coming in and calling her his wife and him having to say no and her being very hurt about it.
Very, very upset, yeah. But it's very clear she loves him, and this was one of those like selfless acts of love things. Just spur of the moment, I can save the person I love, and pushes him. It's not thinking about herself, thinking about the person she loves, and like that is super believable, right? And it just cements how much she cares about him, and then gone.
Yep, bye.
And he
literally in the air.
And then and then the vacuum back in, and then just all of the destruction, and then he continues to lose someone else. And it's just, I started bawling all over again. I was like, no, he just decided to be happy. No. I literally was yelling this at my TV screen. I was like, no. I'm like, how dare you? I was very it's a good thing I didn't watch this movie in theaters. I would have been kicked out of the theater.
Noisy fucking attendee. Bird, get out of here.
Because I would have started yelling at the movie screen. I'd have been like, how dare you?
Yeah, and then he got out of cover and saw the absolute destruction of Ginza from Godzilla. And then he becomes an anime boy. He becomes a vengeful man.
No, he becomes a very, very depressed man.
Depressed, yeah.
True.
He goes back to where he was when you first really meet him, after he comes back.
The PTSD kicks all the way back in.
Yep.
Back in and then some. He's broken.
Yeah, broken man.
Even more so. And then you see the little Akiko also just super upset, and that was a hard scene to watch.
I fucking love Akiko. Her calling him daddy, and her calling her mama, and all that. I'm just So cute. She's so
It
cute.
was that was a rough moment to watch, definitely after that. Um and then they start getting to the point where the government's like, all right, well, we don't know what to do. And then so you have basically this volunteer soldier group decide we're gonna do this ourselves. We gotta save our
Our
families
country.
and our home
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
That's not quite true. The government is still in control, but the head of the mission states that technically a lot of these ex-soldiers are no longer under the government's
Yeah, because
command,
they're
so they don't
ex-Navy, aren't
have
they?
to. They are ex-all members,
Are they
Army,
all?
Navy, and well, I guess the Air Force
I
and
guess so, yeah.
is probably a member of one of those divisions. But
I just remember the
regardless,
Navy being majority there, so I was like, oh, okay.
that's the big point because it's water-based, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The head of the military operation comes out and says we can't force you to do this, and about a third of the members there walk away.
Yep. Because they just
Yeah.
did not want to deal with another fucking war. It's literally been 2 years. It's still fresh in their minds. People just
Just so.
did not want to go into battle, which
But the 2/3
understandable.
ish that stay do stay because yeah, they form this volunteer unit that is going to be the G force, the anti Godzilla force.
And then you find out that that Doc is the one who came up with the whole plan to try and take Godzilla down.
Yeah, Doc
I don't know
isn't
about you guys, but this
Doc.
was the first time I realized that Doc was actually important as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
not like as a primary character, but like as a character in the world.
Yeah.
He is someone.
He is not just a Doc. He is someone who has power in the
I
government.
had a feeling he would be when they introduced him, and I was waiting to see if that ended up being true. And this was kind of that. Okay, so he is somebody important.
Yeah. Before this, what I took away is he was one of 3 members of that group that were a part of the war effort. And the kid was the only one who like he sees as he missed his opportunity, but all the other adults are like, no,
No.
you didn't miss shit.
You should be.
You missed
Like,
it.
not-
You should be happy you missed
Yeah,
it.
you should be
There
thankful
was-
you were not part of World War II, because, yeah.
There was a line that that the captain said that was something like there's no there's no like dishonor in not having gone to war. Like you should be proud that you didn't have to go to war, because war is not pretty, war is ugly, war is dark, war is painful.
Mhm.
So like war in the like Dot was saying, the theme of the movie was Koichi in his war. Like there's a theme to that of just the gruesome trials and nature of war.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a whew, that was something.
Yeah.
Like just again, like this has been, bro loses everything, starts to build back up. He's battling a battle, loses everything again right after he decides to be happy, and it's just, man, if you're not like emotionally worn out at this point, like I'm bravo to you, because his movie has been rough by this point. While I was watching, it was just one of those things I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I just had to know what was happening.
Yeah. But yeah.
And so they come up with their plan to take down Godzilla, and Koichi decides, he realizes that if something can like damage him from the inside, it's a guarantee to take him down.
Oh yeah.
And,
we forgot to mention that when they were actually fighting Godzilla on the dingy boat, what was it? One of the mines, Godzilla ate one of the mines, and Koichi shot it and actually did damage to Godzilla, so that's how he knew.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to explain everything.
Well, I
People-
know, but like that's kind of important, that that's how he got to that conclusion, that he needs to be damaged from the inside, not from the outside.
But yeah, so he learns that, and this is like, so he convinces him to get him a plane. So he gets a plane, and he cannot, like, he convinces them in the essence of, he can use it as a to lure Godzilla out there in case their attempt at baiting Godzilla doesn't work or whatever.
I don't know if they're attempting killing Godzilla. He knows the bait will work, but they have a plan that no one believes in.
They have a plan that no one believes in. He doesn't tell anybody about his attempt to kill him with the suicide bombing.
Like, well, no. My point is, he doesn't believe that the plan the government has is going to work.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he feels that despite knowing Doc and trusting Doc, that Doc's plan is going to fail.
Right. But he sells it to them under the notion of he can be used. He can like distract.
Yeah, he can be the bait.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah. And he can fulfill his own goal of
vengeance,
suicide bombing and killing Godzilla. And he says it to someone that he's like, I was supposed to die 2 years ago and I didn't. Now it's my time to die. He tracks down the mechanic that survived on that island with him and has him fix up the plane for him. He leaves Akiko with his neighbor and a letter. He gets in his plane, and they enact their plan.
And the plan is to not drown Godzilla, but use the water pressure against him. And what was the other part?
So their plan was sinking down to the bottom of the trench.
Yep. Where the pressure would theoretically crush him.
And even if it doesn't, quickly raising back up so the decompression would
kill him.
Yeah. And theoretically, that's a good plan. That would destroy most things with the amount of pressure, because that's a deep trench.
Oh yeah.
And coming up at a high speed, yeah. But of course, to go along with the movie, the plan doesn't go completely according to plan. They have a snag on the coming up part, so he doesn't come up quite as fast as they wanted. And then when he does eventually come up, he doesn't, burst from decompression like they were hoping. Then you have this moment where they're like, "Oh no, we've lost," and Koichi comes in to do his suicide dive run bomb right into his mouth. And
his mates are like, "Oh no," because they didn't know at first, and he's like, "No, don't you do it, and yeah,
he doesn't tell anybody that he's gonna do, and then he goes to do it. He succeeds, but he has an ejector seat and ejects.
Yes, so this is important because this is wrapping up a major aspect. This mechanic, as was mentioned, was the mechanic from the very beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And had been harboring these very, very intense feelings against Koichi the whole time. It seems that somewhere over the years he recognized that nothing was going to work anyway. And seeing that Koichi had held on to that last, let's call it a gift he gave him, that fucked up gift. He realized who Koichi was as a person.
Right.
Yeah, he realized who Koichi was as a person. He realized what they were what the government was asking of him to do was effed up. He realized that, that it wasn't Koichi's fault. Nothing he did would have mattered in that situation.
Yep.
He comes to these realizations, and then, he does test Koichi too.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
How did he do it? He asked him a question or something to see how he would answer before he actually told him about the ejector switch.
Yeah.
Okay, no, so because he sees who Koichi is as a person now, and I think he probably, I want to say he understands his living conditions now as well. He puts an ejector seat in so that Koichi doesn't actually have to die, so he can go home to his daughter.
Yeah.
It's just we won't be making that mistake again. And so, he pulls the ejector at the last second. Plane goes in mouth. Bomb explodes. Godzilla, not a great way. Not a great way.
They win.
They win.
But now, I want to say, with the whole ejector seat segment, They
I called it.
show him telling him after the fact,
Yeah.
like after it happens.
Yeah, because it's a surprise to us as well.
It's a surprise to us as well.
Well,
But like I was watching it and I was just like, because I know a little bit about planes, having grown up next to an aviation base. Um, so I was like, hold up, that's an ejector switch when they were showing the plane at one point when he was working on
the
it.
close-up shots of the two characters talking.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm like, I bet you Mekanik realized like that, how he acted was like kind of messed up. He realizes the Koichi's not a bad dude and that he has a kid waiting for him and he wants to make sure he survives. He's going to tell him that's like the bomb trigger thing and it's actually the ejector seat and trick him into ejecting in the last second so that Koichi can get that satisfaction of going through with what he wanted to do but still
Being alive.
survive to be able to see his kid and everything. I'm like, that's how this is going to play out, right? And then everything happens, and I'm like, and yeah, I thought he was going to trick him, and then no, he just straight up told him. Yeah, as far as he was concerned, this plane was being used for a kamikaze. He hadn't flown the plane that had an ejector seat, so he could have easily been tricked. Just that, like he said, you need to engage this bomb at the last second with this switch. Pulls that, thinking it's part of the engage process, and it's the injector seat. It ejects him as it's flying into the mouth the last second. Could have tricked that. That could be an easy trick.
So,
sure.
So,
especially since they remodeled the plane, took stuff out to fit bombs and stuff in, could have easily rewired the ejector seat handle into the engage for the bomb. Also another way to go about it.
This is what I was referring to when I said that in the 2-year time skip, they have the hindsight of 2020. Because one thing you have not mentioned, man, and I know you said because you don't want to talk about every single detail, but
because I want somebody that listens to this to actually, if they want to go watch it, still have some things to understand.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, certain things just need not be spoiled, even in a spoil cast.
Yeah, but the speech that Doc give when they were not planning, sort of planning. You know how they were on that. Was it the ship? No, it was like in a building, right?
They were in a building.
They were in a building, yeah. So you know about the speech that Doc spoke of about, talking about the war and talking about, regretting having like kamikaze like squads and all that and no ejector seats in the kamikaze ship. When he said that, I'm like, ding, there it is. There's going to be ejector seat when he gets on the plane. I called it.
Yeah, and it was very clear there was one when you saw that, like, that was a very obvious ejector seat. But yeah, no, it ended up he didn't trick him or anything. He just tested him, asked him like a question of some sort.
There was just one question.
And then based off how he answered it, he told him about the ejector seat.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him, don't die. You have a kid waiting for you. Come back. And he uses the ejector seat, and he gets to come back. He gets to see his little girl when he gets off the boat.
Yeah. And yeah, so Godzilla, no head for tonight.
And Godzilla's dead. But overall, the entire movie, absolutely incredible from beginning to end. It was just an incredible movie that Godzilla happened to be, guest starring in.
Yeah, it was a good not character case, but character focused Godzilla movie compared to the other fucking Godzilla movies, which is just shit. So yeah,
it really shows the strength of if you make a good movie and put Godzilla in it, you'll have a good Godzilla movie. Whereas most of the time it's just like we made a great monster mash. Also, we should chuck humans in there.
Yeah,
like then now you have a bad movie with fun Godzilla fights. It's still gonna be a bad movie.
Can we reveal?
I'm still gonna watch it, mind you, but it is a bad movie.
Can we reveal who did the visual effects? Now,
who did some of the visual effects?
Some, but it was kind of when I first saw it, I'm just like, excuse me. Like I literally double tagged him. Like my eyes must be deceiving me because it's the first time I've heard of it.
Who did it?
Square Enix,
Oh yeah,
our beloved company.
yeah.
Yeah, they did some of the visual effects, and I'm just like, okay. I don't know where the fuck he did that, but okay. This ain't Final Fantasy Event Children.
No, I mean Square Enix has
No.
always had their hands in a lot of baskets. They do like manga publishing. They do
That's true.
their
Yeah,
movies. They do a lot. They do a lot of different things. So
yeah. Outside
that's
of
not
video games,
too
yeah.
that's not too surprising to me. That as a company, Square has been around for a long time. So they have their hands in a lot of baskets. Even if you don't see it very often, they have their hands in a lot of baskets. So it's that's not too surprising. But they helped with it, and the effects were great.
Yeah, I wish I had seen. I wish I had been able to read what degree they were actually a part of this. Because I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I couldn't
I
tell
couldn't
you
tell you.
either.
I
Again,
don't know
all
if this
Japanese.
is like Soul Eater where they like have a lot to do with it, but like they didn't even animate it. That was Bones.
Mm-hmm.
Or if this was a case of like they lent hardware, like they lent some part
Oh,
of
yeah.
Luminous
Engine.
tools to
Yeah,
them way
Luminous
back
was- yeah.
when. Or
Yeah.
but I don't even think Square uses that anymore, so I doubt it. I don't know. Like I would be very interested to know to what degree Square had to deal with this, and maybe I'll look it up and I'll let you guys know in the future.
Oh, sweet.
You should, yeah. But yeah, if you take anything from us talking about this for the last little while, go to Netflix and watch Godzilla -1. It's an incredible
Please,
movie
it's so
and
good.
absolutely
It's
worth
so
watching.
good. And as much as I love the old Godzilla movies, I would much rather this be the way we go for Godzilla movies, with like an occasional fun little break where they just pound on each other.
Yep.
But I would like stories like this. I would like more stories like Shin Godzilla.
I told my parents about this movie like the next day because I was telling them I was watching a movie and I told them about it, and my parents, no, not really big on Godzilla. Big surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But I was telling them about like the story that's going on in this movie, and even they were just kind of like, that sounds like a really good movie, and they said they might watch it. And I'm like, if,
Oh, that's
if
good.
it's willing to sell them, that's impressive because that's a good movie.
Yeah.
That right there is a good movie. It is a great movie. Godzilla just happens to be a part of it. Like that's all there is to it. As for why it's on Netflix, like we mentioned at the beginning, like we were a little surprised to see it there. Like I guess I'm not too surprised, though at the same time I am. But if I had to guess why, Netflix has a really great like connection with foreign films and foreign shows and stuff. So this being a Japanese made and produced and everything movie,
Mm-hmm.
they probably already had kind of a like a connection with the studio and in from something else that was already on Netflix.
Right.
So they probably had like a what's the term? Like they probably had like first dib on it kind of thing.
Cool.
Because Netflix has got a pretty solid selection of foreign films and
Right.
things. Like
Question.
I watched what's it? Lupin, Arsène Lupin on Netflix, which is a French
French show. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
it's really and that's really good. Like they have a couple like Chinese shows on there that are really good. I think there's one, King's Avatar. I think that one's Korean, and that's really good. Might be Chinese, but yeah, that one's really good. I've watched that on there. So yeah, they just have a really good repertoire already, like built with like foreign films and stuff. So I think that's probably why it ended up there.
Okay. Does anyone know if Shin Godzilla is also just like a full-blown Japanese-made Godzilla movie?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a Western Godzilla movie.
All right, nice.
But yeah, I like that movie was incredible, and I really wanted to talk about it for a little bit.
Really happy you wanted to talk about it. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Watched some other things while I was sick as well that maybe we'll talk about later in the future. Like, they put Madam Web on Netflix, and that was
Haven't watched that one though.
that one was something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay me to watch that, Matt.
um, Then I watched the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte on Disney Plus, Star Wars TV show that's set in their era before like the prequel trilogy.
What was it, like
the High
100
Republic era.
years, 1,000 years before episode 1?
This particular series takes place
It's
100
100
years
years,
before.
that's right,
Yeah, so it's towards the end of the High Republic.
Okay.
I have heard some stuff about this, and I've heard for every good thing it does a couple of unforgivable things. Now, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know, but people who are mad about this are mad about this. They're like they're like sequel level mad about this.
I haven't seen any of the complaints, so I can't comment on any of the complaints. All I know is like the High Republic stuff, like the books and stuff have been pretty good. Read at least the first one, and it was pretty good. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I really liked it. Nothing broke lore canon that I saw, like with what we know about Star Wars. So I like everything seemed to make sense. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I really enjoyed it. It seemed really good. I don't see what people's problems will be. And when I go to read or somebody tells me what their problems were, maybe I can comment towards those. But I mean, yeah, no, I haven't seen anything egregious. Like it's all been really good. I've really enjoyed it. So I don't know. I mean, you aren't gonna get much worse than in the sequel trilogy where you spend 6 movies of the Jedi going, the Force is not a religion, to yeah, the Force is a religion all of a sudden, and it's just like no. You spent 6 movies saying it's not, on top of thousands of books and games explaining that it is not a religion, and now you're going to come out and say it's a religion because you're too lazy to write? Like, no, that's stupid. I got so angry when they said that in the sequel trilogy. I actually walked away.
Yeah, the sequel's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah. But I thought The Acolyte, the first 2 episodes at least, were really good. I haven't watched episode 3 yet. I think it's only got 3 episodes out now. 4th episode comes out this week or something. I don't know. But yeah, I've only watched the first 2, and I thought they were really good, and I really want to see what happens. So maybe all the complaints come in episode 3. I don't know. Find out.
Couldn't tell you, but fair enough.
I watched a lot of stuff while I was sick, but mostly wanted to talk about Godzilla.
Yeah. All right, so on to Kingdom Hearts now, Matt. Matt, you said you were good.
Shut up.
Nah, okay, yeah, go on. Send us off, Matt. Send us off.
Dalek, cut that out.
No, don't cut it out.
Oh, I plan to.
No, do not cut it out.
But yeah, that's been this episode. We just really wanted to talk about a really amazing movie, and we wanted to tell you all about a really amazing movie. Like, you're going to know what this episode's about, because I'm literally going to title it Godzilla -1. You know what you're getting in for. So Go watch that movie. We hope you enjoyed this episode, listening to us talk about it. Let us know your opinions and thoughts in the comments on YouTube, over on Twitter, however you want to reach out to us. Do that. You know the hashtags, you know the @, you know all of that good stuff. It's in every episode below in the descriptions. You should know it by now. We'll see you all in the next one. Take care.
See you, everyone.
Be good now.